There we go. Here we go, boys. Here we go. It's round 2. So, my previous video actually currently lied, so there is a need for another tier list. I mean, it's unfortunate really, but that is the way. Alright, do tier list of water tier list. Team tier. Okay, let's. Hang on. How do you create a poll? Actually, I'm trying to make a poll. I probably won't have music. I think. Good way of fucking ports up. Exactly. / poll. Okay. And then what do I? Open a setup menu to create a poll. Why is the setup menu not coming up? Hang on. Shit. Do I have to type out everything? Like, I don't know what I'm doing here. Shit. Okay, I got it. Okay. Oh, I can do make channel points to vote. Let's go. Let's do that. Nah, fuck that. Duration. Let's do a 3-minute poll. Okay. There you go. Get voting. My boys, get voting. Maybe we should do a tier list on how many cats, what sort of breeds, like, Jerry likes to lick cats, like, what are his favourite breeds to lick. And he just rates them. Although all of them would be tier S, so. $50 Chimu into Eco. Yeah, Inca sounds very annoying in team. Not gonna lie. So it looks like it's mostly team so far. I can vote myself actually. There we go. Jeremy is an early resigner bitch. Yeah, that is true. Loses one veil and then he becomes like a little bitch boy. Oh yes, let me grant you your sword. Unable to add moderator. What the fuck? Is it because there's a poll going on? Oh, okay, never mind. This works now. Keister, you already have like a prime gaming crown, man. It doesn't get better than that. Okay. When does this tier list end? There's no timer on it. I don't know, Keister, you're gonna have to warm up to me a little bit before I Okay, anyway, it's gonna be team anyway, so let's just fucking leave it. Oh, I can report my poll. Anyway, let's do a team tier list then. So I'm going to start from the right side this time, just for a bit of diversity. I'm actually not really sure on the tiers. I'm just going to see how it goes, and then maybe move the rows later. So let's start with Sweden. What do we think? I'm going to See what you guys think. We got some sick team players in here like Breeze Brothers, the name Daniel, Germuno, Kleister, you know, the one and only. S A A S A S A A. I think it's actually S tier. I think it has the Japan syndrome. And I think their boom's stronger than the Japan one as well. And the late game is actually really sick because Caroleans sort of just trade well versus pretty much every unit. And that's in post-industrial, industrial onwards, and Sweden get there quite often. So they kind of have this one unit that trades really well. And then they also have leather cannons, which can be really good in holding stuff H2, and it's like, it kind of depends on the map. Sometimes it can be A tier, but on good coin mine maps, I think it would be S tier. Yeah, I think that's including the blueberry nerf. I still think it's the best boom. See, it still seems stronger than the Brit boom. Yeah, the late game eco is kind of meh. But the thing is, like, it's sort of mid to late game where they're like just such a powerhouse, and early game they have leather cannons and stuff, so still think they're pretty good. No way Sweden S tier. I don't know, in combination with a good ranged infantry unit, Carolean plus, I don't know, Strela or something would be fucking sick, or like Dutch skirms. You know, the normal deal. They do have weaknesses as in they can't train skirms themselves, but they have good cannons, so they got leather cannons and they got just the normal cannons, so, and they can also go into Jaegers with Merc Combat. They have 6 MAMs which they can ship as well. I don't know, I think there's like Brit VC better for... No, I think full torps Sweden is just better than full mana Brit. And Brit needs more map as well at the same time, so like I feel like Sweden's just a better version of Brit, and I think Brit's a very solid civ overall as well, so yeah, exactly, it's the best mid game, and that's when that's when team games matter the most. It's like mid game at a high level at least. Let's go with Inca next. We're just gonna do a random order. Where are we thinking Inca? The thing is, people say Inca's not OP but lame, but the thing is their mechanics are going to be much lamer in team. I think they're A. I really think they're A. Like Chimus alone kind of boost it super hard, but even without Chimus, they have like food gathering houses. They got very easy defensive capabilities. And jungle bowmen are really good, and if they can be covered well by like someone going dragoons like French or Port, I think it's really strong. Harakas are also good, so they can sort of go like jungle bowmen Harakas, and then in combination with goons, they're really good. And yeah, like their eco is actually really sick as well. I've been playing a bit of Inca in team recently with Maito and yeah, with Maito mostly, and the economy seems super strong. And of course, we got to take into account C maps as well, because C is like something people go for in team more often. And Inca are really good on C as well, because their boats are super broken. So I think that they could even be S tier in my honest opinion, but they're probably a solid A tier. Yeah. I think it's there. Right. Let's go with Otto. It does depend a lot on the map, that is true. But, I mean, Inca don't really get map screwed. They don't get map screwed because they can just all they need is access to wood, and a little bit of hunt and maybe like a coin mine or two, and then that's it. That's all they need for the rest of the game because they're spamming food wood units and their houses gather food. So anyway, Botto, where are you thinking? Is it a team tier list? Yes, I should specify that in the title actually. Bear with me. Apologies for that. Okay, there we go. So where are we thinking Otto? Oh shit. Zeta. Hey big man. So we're seeing B, D. You'd say C. I think on a C map they're C, and on any other map they're a D tier. Like, it's the same issues they have in 1v1, right? I mean, sure they can be like spamming Abyss and someone can cover them, but you're just gonna get outmassed in the skirmisher war, and your eco is not good. Your mobility, like if you're trying to carry with Otto, you have no mobility at all. You always have to be protected because your army's you're mostly trying to go Abyss gun anyway, and if you're going Jans, then it's just not a great unit for teams. So, and it's just like your eco takes so long to pay off, and in the mid game, so many other civs like Dutch and Brit and Sweden and Jap have much better ecos. And they can even just spam their OP ranged infantry unit that probably beats Abyss anyway, so that's why I put them in the D tier. On water, they can be really good actually. Like, they're fast and they can just H1 dock, and that even pushes them up to a B tier sometimes. Because they actually have economy to train Abyss guns and Janissaries, but most of the time they're strong for the first 8 minutes and then they just fall off instantly, so you just got, if you're playing against Otto and they're playing any sort of H2 build, you just survive 8 minutes and then you sort of just win most of the time. Otherwise, because that's when they create spam stops and then they're just gathering with 20 vills max, and then you're just like, yep, great, 20 vills, just getting like 3 Abyss gun batches. So Teaspoon is not bad in team, that is true. But you could potentially FF and TC Boom, but it's still very slow. Yeah, you could do the build, man. The build. Callum would not appreciate this Otto ranking. Anyway, so those are my reasons stated. And of course, Abyss and Cavarch are 2 pops, so Otto in a shit late game as well, even if they do get an eco. So, and Cavarches are just so inferior to the Russian ones, and the Russian ones aren't even the best anyway. Anyway, let's go with India. Actually, where do we think India is? India is tier S. S. I'll get into the weaknesses, Breeze, and maybe you'll change your mind. A plus. B? I think this is another A. And the reason being, yep, they got goons and skirms in H2, their eco is very good. They have good team cards, that they got the team all military unit 5%, and they even got team 2 flails, which actually can be quite good against like a Dutch, for example, if you're being aggressive with like a Russia and French, for example, or a Brit who has like a forward tower, and you can chip it to the Russian blockhouse as well. That could be quite fun and good against banks. But other than that, that's their 2 team cards. They also have Team Tiger Claws, which are good as well. But it kind of depends on like the Indian player's deck and playstyle. I don't always have that in my decks, so They are very good in combination with a lot of civs. They have Goons H2, so they can go Zams, and then Dutch can go Skirm, so their combination is really strong. India does make... The thing is, India on its own is not it's not the best, but it makes other civs better. Because it means they can spam that OP range unit, like Dutch Skirms, for example, or Russia Strelets, instead of having to go like Musk Cav, like Rusket Cav. If you're like Russia and French, if you're Russia and India, you can just go Strelet Zam, which is way more efficient. And the reason it's not tier S is because, one, they don't have good cavalry, which can be quite a pain in the arse if you're just trying to, like, I don't know, beat other skirms. And you don't have artillery either. So if you're up against someone spamming Yumis, or Dutch skirms, or Strelets even, or Forest Prowlers, you really struggle, because you can't actually train cav that's any good, and you can't train artillery either. You can say you can get some from the consulate, but you only get one at a time, and that's with 800 export, so it's just, yeah, it's just not ideal. So that's my reasons why it's not S tier. Mahus are pretty shit, let's be honest here. They have shit pathing, shit damage, and shit animation. And it costs a shit ton of resources, yeah. Yeah, they just never connect. Like, imagine you trying to chase, like, 50 Yumis with, like, 4 or 5 Mahouts. You're just going to get one-shotted, move back, one-shotted, move back, one-shotted, move back, before you even fully connect. So, that's my reasoning why India's A tier or not S tier, because they do struggle against the very powerful skirm civs, because you have no cavalry cannons, so... yeah. Okay, let's go with China. Where do we think China is? I haven't played USA, so I'm not really sure. C? D? C? B? D? Funny one, Harcher. You're so funny. I'm gonna put it C. And I think they're better than Otto. I think their eco's much better. They can get a solid mash age too. If you've seen Knush Labar play China, or sometimes I play China and I've got pretty good success with it getting fairly quick to industrial, I just think it can be... Like, if you ever see Knush playing China, it's just incredible sometimes. I mean, obviously you'd probably do better with another Civ, but I really don't think it's as low as D tier, because you actually have eco and good unit shipments and good mass early on. In 2v2, I would put it D tier. In 3v3, it could be a B or C, so I'm just going to put it as like a low, probably mid to low C is what I'm doing. What's that, fair? Yeah, Musk Husk you do struggle a bit, but you can get a solid bow pike mass early on, and then you can have your teammates Husk or Musk the block, so it's not ideal, because obviously you can't spam one unit, and you're just going to be, if you're training Skirm Sword, the person going Skirms on the other team is just going to outmass you, because they're training full Skirm, and you're training Skirmers and Swords, but thing is, like, it also means your teammate can also make less anti-cav. So you can make less Dragoons, because you've got like 20 or 30 Changdaos at the back of your army. And it means your teammate can just even go for Huss even, because you can just smash Changdao Huss in sometimes. So they've got that going for them. And their eco is actually very good. But yeah, as I said before, the unit combos can be a bit awkward. And their H2 isn't the strongest. It has been buffed, but it's still not the strongest. Yeah, and then Moito's build gets you a shit ton of units as well. And I don't know, I've played China a few times, and I've been able to get industrial most games, like go straight from Age 2 to Age 4. If you just mass Age 2, get your market upgrades, get your German trickles, get your... You can even do like good faith agreements builds, where you can get like Age 1 TP, and then go triple resource crates, or even get the trickles, because they're cheaper as well, and then you can get a factory later, like when you go straight to industrial. You know, there's a whole bunch of stuff you can do with the consulate. Why use arquebusiers when Chukunu is superior? Because that's not true. The range is huge, and the macro is just better, I think. Food coin is just so much better to do than Chokunu. Like, people, like, good team players are just going to abuse the range. You're saying that because of Treaty, but Treaty you don't really kite, so... And yeah, they're veteran for free, and you're more likely to have territorial combat in your deck than, I don't know, all this standard army hit points bullshit, and... Yeah, so... Although I'd have that in deck as well, because it's been buffed as well, so... Anyway, next Civ. Let's go Houdinaise. Where do we think Houdinaise is? What are we feeling? What are we feeling? B, CBD, C. What is C? And 2v2 is great, but shit on 3v3. Yeah, I have to agree with that completely. It's hard. I should have done like a 2v2 and then a 3v3 tier list maybe, because that would be a lot easier. But on this tier list, basically what I'm doing is finding like a middle ground. So like the average between 3v3 and 2v2. Because otherwise it's just going to be too hard. Because I think Hero and 2v2 can be quite high, like even a B tier, but in 3v3 they're kind of a D tier, so I'm just going to put them here. I literally think... Actually, I think they're D tier. Yeah, I think they're D tier. Maito used to put a lot of... The thing is, I remember playing 2v2s with Maito and TLS and stuff. And then, like... Kanush the bar, me, TLS, Maito, and then someone subbed in like Spade or something, and then yeah, and every time, literally every single game, Iro lost, and it wasn't even because Maito or whoever was playing it was bad. It was just not a good civilization in like top level games, because well, their eco's not great. The thing is that in general, the top team civs tend to be the ones that have very easy eco options. Mostly, I say that mostly, and Eero doesn't really have that easy option. And of course, Tomahawks are not great. They're not very cost effective. They're really shit in range, and they have an animation. They need a lot of cards to be good, and if you're sending all these military upgrade cards, your eco's going to be even further behind. And they really need to be having either a TP map or a dock map. And even if it's a dock map, someone on the other team is usually going water anyway, so you're just probably going to end up losing it to 2 caravels. So for that reason, I'm putting it in the D tier. Using Maito as an argument is bad because he's better than 99% of players. But this is what I mean, Maito lost with Eero. So if someone who's better than 99% of players is losing with Eero, that means I think it's a bad civ. And also, every time I've played Eero in team, I've always just fell behind and I've had to try extra stuff to make it work. Like FF into Forest Prowlers and dropping TCs early and just trying to... Or Stagecoach booming, or, I don't know, rushing really hard. Like, nothing seems to work properly. And to be honest, I think Otto's even better than Eero because... like... I don't know, they're much better in H2. And then if you do manage to get to H3, or Abyss guns do get to 19 range, and you're just training Vils for free with probably the same veil count as Iro or something similar. Iro's going to have probably a bit more veils, but your veils are free, so you're going to have slightly better eco with Otto. Like, Jans are just better than Tomahawks. Prowlers are probably better than Abbas, obviously, but I don't know. It's not like Dutch where you can just spam 2 or 3 racks skirm all game. It's like Iro struggles with that. Thing is, Nizam FF is probably not very good. I don't know. It's kind of all in. Anyway, next if Breeze, as you're still here, where are we thinking? C, S plus, ports B, damn dog shit tier, S plus, A. I think it's, yeah, has to be S. It could be a high A, because they're not the strongest in 2v2. Like, although with the Musketeer card in H2, they can play Colonial a bit, but beforehand they had no Colonial options at all. Yo, what's with the fucking bans, man? Chill out, man. Fucking Optimus. He's abusing his mod capabilities. So it's either high A or like mid to low S. Or like, the thing is, in 3v3, they're probably one of the best civs, like high S. C maps that are also high S. But in like 2v2s in general, they're not very strong. They can't do their normal just goon plus veil spam in 2v2, I think. But I think I'd probably put them as a tier S anyway, but just kind of mid tier S, I guess. Yeah, better than, for 100% better than Sweden in 3v3, but 2v2 I think Sweden's better than Port, so I'm gonna leave it there. But I would have it as like, well, like, yeah, better than Sweden if it was just 3v3, but I've got 2v2 into account as well, so that's the reason why. So, Germans. Where do you think Germans are? Your AoE judgment is E tier. Thanks, man. A tier, A tier, D tier, B tier, B tier, B tier, A tier, B tier. This is a team tier list. Bratwurst tier. I might be biased, but I think they might even be S tier. Nah, I'll put them high A tier as well. They're not quite S tier, I believe. I think they're a very good civ. You just have so much control over the game. Whenever I queue up as Germans, I feel like I can take control of the entire game. Germans are very map dependent, that is true. But I feel like whenever I'm playing, they don't have a good... War wagons are very good, actually. You can tech them super hard. And then if you combine that with like a Jaeger shipment or Falconets, I think they can be very good. You just got to think outside the box of it with German. And you have to play them really well. Like, you have to abuse free cav all the time. And not just delete them. Yeah, exactly. The thing is with Germans, it's a high skill ceiling civ, I think. Normally, they could be even B tier. Like, if you don't have like the multitasking skills or just don't really know the ins and outs of the civilization, but They have a really good eco. Like their eco, I know. Like like if you compare German to French, right? You think, oh, their ecos are similar. They ship like 4 vils, and French ships like 3.6 vils, and then German ship 6 vils, and then French ship 5. But French have this eco bonus where they train CDB slightly faster than vils per cost. But it's still, to me, it still feels like Germans have like a better eco, much better eco compared to French. And to be honest, like war wagons with all the H3, all 3 cards, by the way, like the H2 cards and the H3 card affect war wagons, unlike the French cards, which affect just hand cav, and then only the H3 one affects goons. So I'm just kind of comparing it with French here. You don't have goons, that is true, but Germans do have that fast cav card in H3, which I like to use, which is 10% faster cav, which is actually relevant in team games, so I like to have that in deck. And, well, you just have so much map pressure all the time. You're outmassing any cav player in early to mid H2, and you can really just snowball that into sort of forcing mistakes out of your opponent quite easily. And I don't know, I just feel like I just do really well with them all the time. Even when your units are subpar, like compare your skirms to Dutch skirms, for example, or compare your cav to like late game cures or mid to late game cures, or just even Nagys or Cossacks, like, or Brit Huss. It's like, I don't know, you just get so much map pressure all the time. So that's the reasoning why. Let's go with Dutch. Where do we think Dutch is? Actually, you might be right. Borsak spams a lot of Germans. They only plays S tier. Yeah, exactly. I think it might actually be S tier in the right hands, the Germans, but I'm going to put it A tier as on because it's so map dependent and it's not very good on C. So Dutch, we got S, A, S, low S, 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 B, S, S plus. Yeah, gonna have to agree. At the moment, it's probably the best Civ. For sure. Like, it's just so easy to play, so hard to beat, and they've even been given mining bonuses and vil bonuses. So they have 60 vils and they have the mining bonus, and they just have really. They got good team card as well, where they have team infantry HP, they got skirms H2, so it's just so hard to outplay them, and they just don't need map control at all. They don't have to rely on any map at all. And yeah, it's just it actually is just a really cancer Civ to play versus, because the guy is just playing it, you just spam skirms and you just wait for the opponent to outplay you, and it's just super hard to. And yeah, it's just, you just don't need map control, and it's just, yeah, it's just really annoying. Yeah, it literally is, probably is the best Civ in team. 65, you gotta stop referring to treaty, man. This isn't treaty. Like, you're not gonna keep every vill alive post 20 minutes. Like, it's just not how it works. And you're not just going to go 60 vils and then go to H4. You'll probably go to H4 before then. So yeah, and yeah, they're just so good, and their eco's even better now, and their units, the skirmisher Reuter is just so efficient. Anyway. Well, the thing is, Dutch has an easy time going artillery as well, and if it's like like Dutch have such a huge advantage mid game, that if it gets to late game where it's not even that bad, they deserve to lose. But I think even late game with 60 vils and 11 banks, they're not weak at all. Especially if they can like stack a bit of res, go 150 pop, and then just out trade all game long. Anyway, let's go with the next Civ. Where are we thinking Aztecs go? A tier, C tier, D tier. With 60 Vil Eco late now, they aren't even falling off. Yeah, exactly. Aztecs B, C, B, B, C, B, C. You can pre-spoon easily. That is true. Thank you for the raid, man. Appreciate that. Aztecs high C or low B? C, B, C. Yeah. C, B, B, C. I'm going to put it high C. I think it's better than China. Eagle Runner Knights are sick. Your eco is very shit early on, but like once you have 10 Warrior Priests and going Fertility Dance, you can get your eco going. But that does take a very long time. That's the issue with it, and that's why they're a bit lower. They do have aggressive options. They can spam maces whilst your team covers you for the rest of them, and then 2v2 they can go mace Puma whilst your teammate goes Cav. And it's just a really efficient combo because you have a 3-unit combo versus most likely a 2-unit combo. And also Team 3 Vil is very good. It does make you a bit weaker, but it makes your teammate stronger, and your teammate sort of is the more relevant Civ because he's the one probably mixing Musk and Huss, and you're just going sort of mace Puma, but sort of making less Pumas and transitioning into more mace. So it is much better for your teammate to be much better, if that makes sense. And you also have Team Exotic Hardwoods, which is actually not bad for Civs like India and Inca and I don't know, just Iro, China, Jap. Like Team Exotic Hardwoods is actually not bad either. So Aztecs have really good team cards. But them themselves, their eco just takes too slow to pay off. Even if like Eagle Runner Knights and Coyotes like mid game actually are pretty good. Hard to focus. So for that reason I put them in the C tier. Yeah, it is a shame Team's sort of dead. I miss playing it a lot. It was super fun. So that's the reason why Aztecs is C tier. See ya, mate. Thanks for the raid. Please delete Aztec Civ. Is it really that annoying? Like, I don't think it's very strong overall. They might have more options, but... Oh, hold on. Oh, never mind. Anyway, next Civ. Let's go with French. Where do we think French are? Why is everyone saying team is dead? The queues. Yeah, but the matchmaking mostly. It's always pros versus noobs or something, and you just don't know if other people are queuing at the same time, so you could be queuing for no reason and getting random noobs, or you could be queuing and getting a stack, so... Migo, how dare you. Low A, B, A, S, A. B, S, A. High A. 2v2A, 3v3S. I actually think it's an A or a B. I'm going to leave it for now. I'm just going to explain my thoughts behind it. I think they're worse in 2v3. I do as well. I think they're much better in 2v2. Because their mid-game is super shit. Like, their eco is super bad. And, yeah, you need a lot of map... Basically, French needs a shit ton of map control to be any good. And in 3v3, I feel like it's harder to get it. Like in 2v2 you can do some sort of timings to break the blockhouses or aggro or whatever. Or you can do like a quick FF into breaking it. And the way French is good is just getting 3 TCs up and just constantly training Vils, and that's just a really rare scenario. And yeah, they just literally need so much map control to be any good. And they need to be H3 somewhat early to compete with other eco-civs like Brit, Jap, Dutch, Russia. Yeah, just pretty much any civ here as well. Like, even German does better with less map control, because you need more coin mines, but you need less food. So you can still, like, get an eco going, and I don't know, and like, once French is out on the map exposed, then German is just reign supreme as well, because their cav is just better than French's for the time being. You gotta compare cav civs, really. Ports can get map controls with TCs, Germans need hunts less. And, like, French is always, like, this really food-heavy, must-cast civ that, I don't know, it's just, it's just, the thing is, it really, really depends on what your teammate civs are. If you're French, if you're teamed up with a Russia and India, French has an easy time and actually is like a tier or like an S tier maybe. Because obviously, if you're getting the full map and you're just training 3 vills at a time, then you just get really good. But if they're not in that scenario, they're kind of even like they're probably B tier. So I'm gonna put them as low A, as like an in between. Yeah, mid game you're just trying to survive, and that's literally not a role you want to take on in like a team game, because you want to be trying to help as much as possible. But if you're just trying to survive, then you're just being a burden to your team, basically. Yeah, I think France is just very hard to scale. Actually, I'm going to put them B. They're just too map dependent, I think. I'm going to put them a really high B though, really high B. But it's just, they're so map dependent, and they just scale, it's super hard to scale with them. Oh yeah, and they got food silos removed, cure nerf, food start nerf. Like, they've got a few nerfs that have been actually relevant. They do have team ranged attack, which is a really good card. They got team hand cab attack, which is also really good, but it's just not good enough. I've posted my tier 1, not tier 1, my 1v1 tier list on YouTube. If you're not subbed to me, then you don't deserve to watch it. No matter what civ I play, it's always S tier. Yeah, 100% fair. USA isn't allowed to play in team. I don't have the civ, so I can't rate it, unfortunately. But I would put it probably S tier, because state militia spam is probably very insane. How big is the cure nerf? Basically, they have 510 HP now instead of 500 as like base stats. But they scale from colonial stats, which means every single upgrade, Cav Combat, Gendarme Cuirassier, Imperial Gendarme, Arsenal upgrade, Hand Cav Attack, Hand Cav HP, Hand Cav Attack is always just going to be much lower. Each upgrade, and that's what makes them so strong, is stacking all those upgrades. And yeah, for that reason, I just think French is just much weaker than it used to be, and it wasn't even that strong to begin with, I think. Like, beforehand, I think they were probably like a mid-tier A, and now I think they're B tier. Anyway, what was I talking about? What did I move on to? If I moved on to anything at all. I didn't, okay. US has some crazy team cards. I think US is very strong in team, probably. I haven't played them, but just judging by their mechanics, they seem insane in team. Where are we going with Spain? Let's do Spain next. D, C, B, D, B, C. C, C, B, C. A with yeah, if Dan's laming logistician is A tier. Unction skirms, yeah, but getting there is the issue. Late game, I think Spain is good. Solely because of Unction. But the thing is with Unction and team, the problem is on like a large map, like 3v3 maps are, Unction's less effective because you gotta have units split up everywhere. If you're fighting in a linear spot, like let's say you're playing on Baja California, you ward the chokes and you're fighting in the middle, Unction's fucking OP. But if you're fighting on, like, I don't know, Himalayas or any other random team map that I can think of, there's not just a choke in the middle, you're going to have units everywhere, like rods and skirms and lancers. Is probably the combo you should be going for in team. Although goons have been buffed, cav combat affects them now, so you could potentially go goons, but I don't know. Does Spain really want to be spamming goons? It does use APM, but I don't think that's a good enough argument to make them be worse. Is this not based on Theory 3 Deccan? Unfortunately not. French skirms are sick in team though. They're not great. You need a lot of cards, and well, you need to get the Royal Guard skirm upgrade. Like, you have the Wilderness Warfare and the ranged infantry attack, but honestly you'd rather be going Goon Cure anyway, because those are your strongest units. Anyway, so Spain I think is a high tier C. Mostly because I would put them D tier, but because of Spanish gold, I think they can be C tier. And I do think they're better than Aztecs and China, but only slightly. S is for sick. Yeah, sick blood. So the reason being is, like, Spanish gold is very strong in team. It's about your only option though, because the rest of your options are shit, but if you do manage to get Spanish gold in somewhat early, they become actually fairly decent, but not great. That's why they're still C. And rods can be very useful in team and catching raids, so potentially you don't even need to go cav or goons with Spain on your team, because you can just run rods around catching all the stuff if they're playing well, and then they can just Spain can also go skirms as well for the ranged infantry advantage. And then they can have just like missionaries with the skirms, and then rods running around catching goons and Huss raids. And if someone's running muskets around, you can easily just make 5 lancers and go clean up every raid as well. So I don't know, if dealing with small unit raids, Spain's very good, but that's pretty much all they're good for until unction skirms later on. So that's why they're C tier. They're not very good, but they're better than these 4, I have to say. Okay, let's go with Russia now. Where do we think Russia are? This is a 1v1 team tier list. 1v1 team tier list? This is a team tier list. God, I'm losing it. S, B, D, D, S, O, D. Fair, I'm not repeating that. High A, tier A, S tier, B tier, A tier, low A, B tier. I'm going to put them a low A. I think they're a low A. Could also be a B tier above French, but I think they're a low A. And the thing is, like, they're not a carry civ. They're not really a good carry civ, because your anti-cav isn't great, H2, and you're not really going cav, so you're mostly going Strelet and maybe some Ruskets as well. But the thing is, you have to have a good mate with Russia. You have to have a good teammate with Russia, otherwise it's just not a good civ. Otherwise you just sort of watch whilst everything's going on, whilst you're making Strelets at a blockhouse and you can't do anything. But the reason it's good is obviously they have very good eco mid to late game. They have very good units, cost-effective units, like mid to late game as well. And they have good map control. And they have good team cards as well. And they have fast training infantry, which is actually very solid. But that's only really relevant later as well. And Opries are also very good. So they have all these mechanics that make them a good team civ, but just because they're so vulnerable early on, I wouldn't put them S tier or higher A tier. Like, these 3 civs has solid ecos early game. Actually, no, I'll put Russia above. Yeah, let's go with that. Yeah. Yeah, let's go with that, because I think Russia's better than Inca, like, mid to late game. And early game, I think Inca's better, but... Yeah, anyway. Russia is easy to play, but doesn't mean they're OP. I put Inca higher because... Sorry, I put India higher because they're not better overall, but they make their whole team better. So for that reason, they're better than Russia. And you can get really good combinations with India, and with Russia you can as well. But it's just, I don't know. You're just so immobile and weak early on that they're just not quite the high A tier as what you'd think they would be. And their anti-cav and cav is just not... Well, the cav is good early game. Like, Cossacks with boyars are good, but it's just... You want to be going infantry, and adding staple and spamming Cossacks is not something you really can do, so... So Cossacks are great, but Ruskets are quite bad, and sometimes you have to make them. Best combo of Brits, in my opinion? I have to disagree with that. Because sometimes, like, Russia Brit is good, is very good. But the thing is, like, they're both susceptible to, like, an early 2 Falcons. So if you're Russia Brit versus French, and their French can just get age 3 quickly, or if you're against, like, a Sweden who ages quickly and gets 2 Falconets out, it does get a bit of a problem. So that I would put them as a top tier team combo, but I wouldn't say they're the best, because it's hard for them to get goons and cannons quickly, unlike other civs. Best mate with Russia is Brit. Yeah, I said I disagree. I think India can be better. I think even French can be better than Brit with Russia, because they can get to age 3 much quicker, so they can get the Falcons out. Because when you see like a Russia camping at the blockhouses, someone's going to age up and ship Falcons, and then how do you hold that with Russia Brit? Brit has slow age, and Russia just can age, but they're the ones making the good units anyway. So, well, the infantry units anyway. That I don't know. Dutch Brit. Dutch Russia is actually underrated. Well, I think Dutch Russia is good, but you just got to play it right. Yeah, overall Russia is good. That's why they're A tier. What about USA? I haven't played the civs, so I don't know how to rate it. But I would, from what I've seen, I would put them S tier probably. But that's just me guessing. Okay, so next civ, Lakota. Where do we think Lakota's going? Fitzbro, the man himself. Let's go. C tier, B tier, S tier, S tier, S plus, S tier, A, S, M, R, B, S. A now, used to be S. A. I think they're a low S tier. I don't know how impactful the speed nerf is, but I do think they're S tier still. The thing is that if a well played Lakota can be sometimes impossible to beat. Like, if you've got a Lakota player that abuses mobility to the fullest, it's sometimes impossible to win. like if you got someone surrounding bow riders and axe riders and just running around and it's H2, how do you catch it? And even in H3 with goons, bow riders sort of beat goons anyway, so if you're just like running around with 10 speed cav, well 8 speed cav, and just if like literally the only way you can counter them in team is just walling up, and if you got all the natural resources on the map, which is like mid map from like one end to the other, it's just like such a pain. And of course they can deny it, and it just takes so long. They don't have shit. I don't think they have shitty eco actually. With the hunt, the thing is, you can stack so many hunting upgrades, and you've got infinite 15 bison that their late game eco isn't even bad, and they've got the trickle card that buffs plantation gathering by 20% as well, so they've been buffed late game. The mid game was also always super strong, and their units, of course, are probably the best in the game. So, and of course, they have a civ, giving a civ the power to run 8 speed cav, delete a player's TC with fields all around it in the space of 30 seconds, and then run all the way back to the main army again to like defend your teammate. It's just incredible. Excuse me. But that's the problem. That's the problem. Like siege dancing a TC, running back with 8 speed cav to your teammate, and then helping them out with the main battle. Like normally, if someone raids with all their cav, you just go punish their teammate because they're all alone, and you just go push the teammate, and then push him off the resource and just kill his eco, or like delay his eco. But if Lakota can go to a TC, nuke it with 10 or 20 vills inside, then go back to the main fight in time to defend the teammate, then it's just, that's why they're so annoying to beat. That's the problem. But the reason they're not S tier is because their eco it's decent, but it's not the best. And well, they don't have cannons and stuff, and they don't have siege until H5, and they don't have walls to H4. So it's like they don't have the best late game, but it's just mid game they're insane. So yeah. If anyone disagrees with me, then that's fine, but that's just generally how I feel about the civilization in like a 3v3 or even a 2v2. Like if you're going Bow Rider Skirmers Dutch or something, like Lakota Dutch is probably the lamest combo ever. You can even feed Lakota so they can just deny any, like a way to beat Lakota is just like rushing them because they don't have Minutemen. However, if they do like a fast stage 4 axe, like if a teammate feeds them 100 or 200 food, they fast stage, send 4 axe riders. Then they can just deny any FB, and then that weakness is sort of nullified. So the other weakness is just, I don't know, mid-game eco, but they have hunting upgrades and the age up bison with the 20% hunting upgrade. They got great hunter, which is like 25 or 30%. And yeah, fast stage 4 axe doesn't work. It does, man. Like, do it against Russia or India so they can't FB. You do cop 4 vills, or you could potentially just like get fed 200 food, chop 200 wood for a TP, fast stage, go 4 vill, 4 axe, and then you just can deny any FB, and then that's a huge weak. Like, let's say you're Russia and Brit against Lakota, and you try an FB. He's 4 axe riders, so they have to go back in base, and you're just dictating the entire pace of the game, whilst your teammate can do literally anything they want, and then Lakota can just follow up with like 5 vills or Great Hunter or whatever, or 700 wood, take all the TPs whilst like your opponents are pinned in base to 4 axe riders, because they're like in base trying to make like 5 mustard or 5 pikes or even Huss or something to just try and not get idled fully. And in the meantime, Lakota can just drop all the TPs, they can send 5 vil, your teammate can just build a bunch of banks or a bunch of manors or a bunch of shrines or whatever. That's why Japsu is also very lame. And yeah, just you may sacrifice a little bit, but the amount you gain is just huge. So suck your nan, man. And you don't have the XP. Well, surely you can early TP if you get fed 200 food. Just chop 200 wood. Fast age. Get fed 200 food. Just you can be up at a very good time. And you have 4 vills as well as 4 axe, or you can just skip the 4 vills and just go 4 axe riders. So let's go with Brit. Where do we think Brit are? Yeah, and also every other Civ tends to have a wood start, which they can feed the Kota as well instead of the food. So you can basically just get pre-patched Lakota, which was top Civ in 1v1, so it'll be a top Civ in team as well. Just for the cost of 100 wood. S plus, A, S, A, S, low S, A. Miga, where do you think they are actually? Or like Daniel or Breeze? I want to hear like other, like somewhat good, let's just say insane team players are. Do you think they're A? I've changed my mind about Brit several times, so I'm just trying to get other people's thoughts on it. I think it's an A. I think they're there. I don't think they're quite S yet. Personally. The thing is, they're very good. They can make all 3 units in Colonial. Hold on 1 second. Don't worry, streamer is back. Actually, 1 second. Apologies for that. Anyway, what was I saying about Brit? So yeah, they're very good. They can make all 3 units in Colonial, and they basically have access to every unit, so they don't have weaknesses compositionally, at least early game. Yummy. They would be ST if they had. Yeah, exactly, Amigo. I was getting to that. So Brit have a very key weakness that stops them from being S tier. Or well, 2 very key weaknesses to stop them being S tier. And one of them is how shit longbows are in team games. They're just a terrible unit. Literally all game long. But there's barely a good moment where they're good. Maybe like early Fortress when stuff isn't carded yet, like skirms aren't carded. But the thing is, if you put like longbows versus Dutch skirms, you're just gonna lose. And that's like the scenario where they're supposed to be best at. Now put longbows in a scenario where they have to deal with like overpowered musks like sepoys, even Brit musks of their own, Sweden Caroleans, even Jans to some extent, Ashigarus, like even Rusket Strelet is just, it's just not ideal for Brit. Like longbows just don't. They just have too low HP. They just die to literally anything at some point. They have like 110 HP or something, and they just die. That you just can't push with them, and they have an animation. You can't kite. It's hard to micro with them. And ranged infantry is very important, especially for like an infantry-based civ such as Brit. You can go cav and goons with them, but most of the time Brits start musk, and then you want to transition into longbow in the large portion of games, because that's just usually their strongest option, because their musketeer mass is so good in colonial. And then obviously your teammate's gone cav and he's adding goons because he has a stable and he's sent like cav cards already, and you've sent infantry cards, but it's like, I don't know, they're just not great and they're not very upgradable. So that's part of the reason why they're not S tier. And the other weakness I was going to get to is that they're very map dependent. They just need a lot of hunt to be good as well. If they don't, you can have all the eco in the world, you can have 50, 60 vills, but if you're chopping wood with most of them, like, you basically, so let's say you're like a Brit on a low hunt map against any civ that has an FB, so like India, Russia, Inca, maybe even Lakota going Warhut, Aztec, even Iro, even Otto going FB, like, you're just gonna, he could have like 30 vills, you could have 60, but if all those vills are on wood, his vills are just gathering more efficiently and just getting more units out, and then he's just gonna hold on to the map. So that's the issue. That's the issue with Brit. You just need so many hunts to be top tier, I think, because obviously they're just so food heavy. That's like they're probably the most food heavy civilization along with port, and yeah, that's the reason why they're not S tier. Port can take map control with TCs and stuff. And they have an easier time getting H3, and they don't have weaknesses compositionally because they got strong Castadors, they got strong masks, they got strong goons, and they got decent husks, so they don't have any composition weaknesses mid to late game, and Brit do. So Brit kind of have to stuck into going musk husks or like goon husks with like artillery or something, or musket artillery, and that can be countered by like skirm Kolv and or Strela Kolv or Force Prowler like cannon, or you know, arquebusier plus hand mortar, or Gurkha plus siege, you know, just anything really. So it's just kind of super easy for other civs to counter it compositionally. So no, Brit isn't shit, because let me get to why they're good. So with map, they're insane. They have probably the best eco apart from something like Sweden or even Japan. Hot top soon, yeah, soon, mate. I just got a forward one, and then I can have that in the back of my bedroom, and then we can get some bikini hot tub streams later for you guys. Anyway, back to Brit. So they got the strongest Musks H2, which is actually really relevant. They got strong Hus. Both of these units are very relevant in H2, so they tend to stay H2 a long time. So they're very strong H2. They have easy means of getting a really good eco, because obviously just mana boom. They can HTC wagon now to H3s, so they can easily get a second TC, and that's usually enough for them to go to 99 vills. And yeah, they got good team card. They got team plantation, and they've got is this hang on, I'll get to that question. They got team plantation and they got team musk, which is really relevant in H2 wars, which is what Brit games usually mostly do. And then H3, yeah, their eco is still really good, and they can still do musket falcons and stuff. So overall, they're a really good civ. They just have two big weaknesses that stop them from being S tier. Okay, so last one. I wonder where this one's going. Where do we think Japanese are going. Tough choice, tough choice. C tier. S plus, S. This is team, so this is 2v2 and 3v3. Oops. So I'm kind of trying to find a middle ground. So, for example, French is very good in 2v2, but they're weak in 3v3, so I put them down here. Likewise, Ero's better in 2v2, but weak in 3v3, but they're not that good in 2v2 to begin with, so I put them down here, instead of like here or here. So it's kind of like in between, like where they would be, like max strength versus weakest. Should I say D for memes? Hell yeah, you should. Yeah, they have bad melee attack, that is true. Yumi's too. Let's just not waste time. They're going here. I don't think they're better than Dutch. But they are pretty good anyway. I probably don't even need to say why they're good, but I might as well. Obviously they have insane units. They have really good eco that pays off quickly. And they just have so much map control with shrine vision. Because they can see a whole bunch of shit with 20 shrines all over the map. And of course they deny opponents resources as well. Like the same thing with torps really, but you have to build them with vills, which is a little bit of a pain, but it's still good. So you can deny coin mines with torps, and you can delay them getting hunts from shrines, because you've got to kill the shrine before you can gather the hunt. At least the shrine doesn't kill the hunt or anything like that, but the torps do. But shrines are just booming whilst weakening your opponent's eco as well. Well, not weakening it, just delaying it, I guess, because they got to siege it to gather food. And also, like, Yumis are just probably one of the best ranged infantry units in the game, if not the best. And having a very strong ranged infantry unit is just really relevant in team games, because it's usually about spamming your best unit, and, well, Yumi sort of beat a lot of units. Yeah, even Yumi beat Castors in melee, man, like. And Castors have 300 hand attack. Why not better than Dutch? Because I think Dutch is just, I don't know, it's just retarded. Like, their skirms are insane, their eco's insane, their lack of map control needed is insane. At least, like, you can kill shrines, you know? Like, you can actually damage the Japanese eco by, like, having 5 pikes run around the map and then just covering them. But Dutch has all their shit in base, and when you run out of hunts as Dutch, is usually when you have, like, 30 vills and you can just go on mills, so... Excuse me. So yeah, this is my list. You could argue some of these could change, like French could go higher. Russia could go higher, Brit could go higher, but that's generally what I think. Team was way more balanced on Vane patch. How long does maintenance take? The thing is, it might get to the point where it's like too late to actually start playing games. So yeah, I'm just gonna leave it there. If anyone has any other added comments, let me know, but I think I'm just gonna call it there. Make Abbas great again. Need that cannon-like sound. I saw a question earlier. Where is it? That I wanted to answer. Spain seems weaker in team than Otto. I don't think so, because Spain has like an eco at least. This is yummy. Yummy chocolate. What do I think is the best 2v2 comp? I think Lakota Dutch is the best. It's probably the gayest combo. Like Bow Rider Skirm from early H2 onwards. Can't pressure Dutch eco. Lakota pressures your eco. Can't catch Lakota's units. I don't know. It's just stupid. And Dutch can feed Lakota without delaying their age up.